Hello and welcome to part 2 of the video where your focus goes, your reality is created. You can create from fear or love. And as I was thinking about this, fear illusion, which is of course not an illusion when we are in it, I was wondering where it's coming from. And then I remembered that a lot of that is actually was implanted. I would even call it implants. I don't know how about you, but for me already as a child, because I was told, God is punishing you when you do this, or Santa is, or there was always, at least in my upbringing, some superficial energy and God or Santa or whoever, Saint Nicholas as it was, will punish us when we don't do this or that, and when we don't fit in or when we don't behave also. So this is one thing I remember. So this was very early. And of course, since a long time, I know that there's nothing to fear but God, and that it's pure love. And still, in all the last years, when I did my healing and my increasing my consciousness, there came up these voices inside of my head that there is something coming if you do this and punishing you. So this is really deeply rooted. And what I also realized is that since I graduated in the subject religion, because I was so interested in that subject and how, one can be right and one can be wrong. And I was always wondering what's going on there, if we have one God or if we have many gods, like in Hindu. Or so I studied it. And we had to read the Old Testament for graduating. And if you haven't read it, don't read it, because it is full of because it is talking about God punishing humans by floods and by plagues, and it was a vicious God. And I read it. I got stomach problems. I got sick, and I remember, no, my God, that can't be true. Even if I have been told that God is going to punish me, if I just couldn't. And in my deep down, I couldn't believe that this has to do anything with what we call God. But I was wondering later on why religion would use, hell and heaven, and hell as a threat for humans to, they paint it like you have to be a good human because if you're not, you're going to hell. And it's this whole thing is keeping you from doing something bad. But no, we got free choice here. God gave us free choice. And if you believe in karma, of course, then that's also not the punishment. For a long time I thought, then karma is the punishment. No, karma is no punishment. I'm talking always here about what is my awareness. Karma is just something, you give something out and you get it back, and that's as long as that's the way it is, and it goes through all the incarnations. But to come back to punishment, there doesn't exist any punishment. And I once read a book of Neale Donald Walsch, Talking to God, or the Conversations with God, is it called? And this was a book I read in 2000 or 1999. And this was the first time I thought, yes, this is what God is about for me. And there was this one sentence I remember: if you understand that Hitler went to heaven. Then you understand God. And I had parents who grew up in, during the Second World War, and my dad lost with 17 his left arm there. And to be honest, then at 1999, I was shocked to read that sentence, because I still thought, some parts still thought, no. That people who had such an impact on suffering, such a huge suffering on this earth, cannot be allowed into the heavens. I just realized it when I read it, that I was shocked. Now, so many years later, and before that, I understood what it meant. So we have free choice here, and apparently our soul wants to make different experiences, as you call it, and from the soul level and God level, there is no good or bad, and there is no judgment. So you apparently can do what you want, and there are people who still do what they want, and there is still war, just started again. And why? I talked to my parents, I remember then, why would you follow Hitler? And they explained to me what happened. He was a master manipulator. That's what I found out. They didn't explain. They told me what he was talking to people, and we are the better one, and we are the Germans one, and they bought into all these lies. And then my dad was even happy with 17 to be called to war, and then 2 months later he lost his left arm. So where was their fear? Which created it? What created Hitler was a master manipulator, also with fear, because if you haven't, if you have spoken one word, that's what my parents told me, against him, or not did the quitting or whatever, you would die, you would be killed, or you would be imprisoned also. So all these dictators, as I call them, are able to create war because they are manipulating, and people allow themselves to be manipulated. Of course, it's always a two-way game. And they spread fear. And they work with, we are better than, or we are bigger than, our country is bigger than and more important. So just by talking about it, it's really such crazy games, but people still buy into it, and you create your reality. And here there is the point again. If you fear something, you put energy into it, and you most likely create it, or you attract it into your life. And if you reject something, it's the same. If you reject something, you put energy, because rejection takes energy. And then it also means that you give it energy, and you either, keep it alive in your life if you have it already, or you attract it. So for me, what I see now is it's just very simple. If you feel fear, you go into it, or you decide, I know you are an illusion. I know you might come from my childhood, or from any implants I've ever, taken in, from any manipulation I've ever agreed to. I now decide, and that is where word comes in. Word, I am word. And I decide, my decision is now to let go of this fear and focus on what I rather have in my life. Focus on what brings me joy. Focus on what makes me feel good. Focus on how I can share laughter and singing and celebration with people around me. Focus on what do I want to see in the world, and what do I want to create. And it sounds so simple. Why don't we do it? So I do it more and more. And I'm becoming more and more aware of how fear created circumstances I didn't want to and I'm not wanting to have in my life. So this is the work we need to do. Focusing on joy, yes, and acknowledging the fear and consciously decide and speak it out of your system. If you need help doing that, you know where to find me. You find the contact information in the description of this video and in the comments. I work one-on-one with people and I offer programs. If you're interested in it in German or English, just contact me. And have a wonderful day.